The price of natural gas has surged in European markets after a series of Israeli and Iranian attacks on energy infrastructure across the Gulf. The strikes are seen as a significant escalation in the three-week-old war, and experts warn they could threaten global fuel supplies for months. The current spate of tit-for-tat attacks on key oil and gas facilities began with Israeli strikes on the South Pars gas field, which is part of the world's largest natural gas field and partly controlled by Iran. Iran retaliated by striking and causing major damage at the world's biggest gas hub, Qatar's Ras Laffan. Iranian aerial attacks have also forced the UAE to shut a major gas facility. Iranian drones struck a Saudi oil refinery on the Red Sea and caused fires at two others in Kuwait. This evening, smoke was seen billowing from the Haifa oil refinery in northern Israel.
These fires at the world's largest liquefied natural gas facility in Qatar sent gas prices soaring on European markets. Qatar's Prime Minister called the attack on the Ras Laffan complex unacceptable and called for the war to stop. Iran hit the facility in retaliation to yesterday's strike on its South Pars gas field. Overnight, President Trump blamed Israel for that strike, claiming that the US and Qatar knew nothing about the attack. He said Iran retaliated against Qatar without this knowledge and promised there would be no more attacks on South Pars unless Iran was to hit Qatar's facilities again. Israeli officials claimed the South Pars strike was a joint operation with the US. But Donald Trump responded today saying he warned Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu not to do it and that he wasn't too worried about the rising energy prices.
And I actually thought the numbers would be worse. I thought that it would go up more than it did. But we're doing this excursion, and when it's completed, we're going to have a much safer world.
Iran also struck facilities in the UAE, Kuwait and two Saudi refineries in Riyadh, opening the possibility of another adversary joining the war.
We have reserved the right to take military actions if deemed necessary.
As leaders sling verbal threats, civilians continue to suffer. 3 women died in this strike in the occupied West Bank, the first Palestinians killed by Tehran in the conflict. And Iranian rescuers pulled a small child from the rubble of a destroyed building. As regime news agencies reported, 12 were killed in an attack on a residential building. When questioned, US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth tried to justify the huge monetary cost of these strikes.
As far as $200 billion, I think that number could move, obviously. It takes money to kill bad guys.
As the civilian death toll rises, the gas facility strikes have pushed the war into dangerous new territory, with the world's energy supply firmly in the crosshairs. Fergal Gallagher, RTE News.
The Taoiseach Micheál Martin has condemned both Israeli and Iranian attacks on critical energy infrastructure as unacceptable. He was speaking on arrival at a summit of EU leaders in Brussels, which has been dominated by the war in Iran and its impact on global energy supplies.
Members of an Iranian dissident organisation oppose the Islamic regime bring their message right to the doors of the European Council building in Brussels.
The solution for Iran crisis is neither appeasement nor a foreign war. The only solution is a regime change by the Iranian people and the organised resistance.
But how to effect regime change? That's just one of many intractable questions facing EU leaders as oil and gas prices soar, and Tehran appears content to escalate its attacks on the Gulf in preparation for a protracted conflict. Fresh from his visit to the Oval Office, the Taoiseach was critical of Israel's attack on Iran's South Pars gas field, which in turn triggered a retaliatory attack on the world's biggest LNG facility in Qatar.
Any further attacks on energy infrastructure in the Middle East is unacceptable. It will have long-term repercussions for the energy market, and all sides need to desist from such attacks.
The UN Secretary-General, who joined the summit, echoed those remarks.
To the United States and to Israel, it's high time to end this war that is risking to get completely out of control. To Iran, stop attacking your neighbors.
French President Emmanuel Macron described the attacks on energy infrastructure as reckless and called for direct talks between the United States and Iran. The German Chancellor Friedrich Merz welcomed what he interpreted as a signal from President Trump that military action could soon end. But a reluctance for Europe to somehow get involved militarily runs deep.
But it's not a war that we are part of. The Netherlands is ready, together with France and others, to protect the European partners. But at the moment, there is no clear indication that there is a proper proposal for a mission. And it's also, at the moment, too volatile.
EU leaders understand this is a grave crisis facing the global and therefore European economies, yet their ability to shape the outcome appears limited to calls for de-escalation and hopes that Iran might somehow differentiate European interests from those of the US and Israel.
Well, let's speak to Tony now. Tony, despite a reluctance on the part of some countries to become involved militarily, this energy crisis has prompted some to say they may have to do something, but what?
Exactly, Sharon. What they can do, it's really not clear, but there is obviously a clear and present danger to the European economy. Europe feels acutely concerned about what's happening in Lebanon. It could face, in the medium to long term, a migration crisis, depending on how this conflict plays out. Now, in terms of providing some kind of support to Donald Trump in the Strait of Hormuz, clearly very few, if any, member states would be prepared to put their ships and soldiers in harm's way in the Strait of Hormuz while the conflict is ongoing. Now, there was a statement by France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands and the UK and Japan this afternoon, a line in that saying we are ready to contribute an appropriate option to make sure there is safe passage in the Strait of Hormuz. That raised some eyebrows. Berlin then said that did not mean anything by way of a German military contribution to the Strait of Hormuz. The long-term problem from Europe, of course, is that the ability for Iran to hold the world to ransom through the Strait of Hormuz was always theoretical. Now, as a result of this conflict, they know it's a literal piece of leverage that they have, and that they will have that going forward into the future. And that even may mean Iran can dictate terms that are favourable to the regime if this conflict is to end. So those are the kind of considerations Europeans are having to process this evening as the summit continues.
Europe editor Tony Connolly from Brussels. Thank you.
Well, the opposition here has accused the government of failing to act quickly enough to address the surge in fuel costs as the war in Iran disrupts global supplies. It comes as consumer diesel and petrol prices are set to keep climbing.
Prices at the pumps are continuing to rise. At this filling station in Dublin today, diesel was selling at almost €2.20 per litre and unleaded petrol was priced at just under €2, with similar scenes on forecourts across the country. Retailers are warning of more increases over the coming days due to a jump in the average wholesale costs.
Today's notice was absolutely horrendous. I've already shown it to you. It's 6.9% today. It's 6.4% tomorrow. That's ex-VAT, so that's going to be the bones of 18-19 cent. That's a huge increase, an absolutely extraordinary increase.
Hauliers are among the sectors worst impacted by the surge in prices. Following talks this morning with the Minister for Transport, Darragh O'Brien, who said measures including a reduction in the excise duty on fuel or an excise rebate are among the options being considered by the government, the Irish Road Haulage Association paused planned protests.
Well, so far we're satisfied. We had an engagement meeting with the Minister. There is going to be ongoing discussions over the weekend. With the proposal that he has brought to us that there's going to be substantial support for our industry. Our members are calling for action, so unless we have something to bring to our members worthwhile next Tuesday, there will be action.
The issue took centre stage during leaders' questions in the Dáil, with the government accused of being slow to respond to the fuel and oil price hikes.
So while costs surge again, what is your message to ordinary people out there? What is the message from your government? Wait until Tuesday.
People are feeling it. They're feeling it at the pump, absolutely. They're feeling it in the cost of a fill of oil. And as I've confirmed last night, we are finalising what we believe to be an appropriate intervention for the areas in which there is a most acute pressure and challenge.
Fuel for Ireland, the representative body for the industry, has also called for immediate government action to help those impacted by the rise in prices.
The diesel price increase has been more pronounced because of a squeeze on supplies due to existing sanctions on Russian exports, a lack of refining capacity in the EU, and due to the fact that a small percentage of Europe's diesel comes via the Strait of Hormuz, all contributing to the higher hike in prices. Fergal O'Brien, RTE News in Dublin.
Well, for more on this, let's go to Sandra Hurley of our political staff at Leinster House. And Sandra, as we saw there's intense political focus now on what the government will do to help people and how quickly it will act.
Yes, Tommy. Well, we know that the government will act next Tuesday, but we got several hints today from the Minister for Transport, Darragh O'Brien, and from the Taoiseach, Simon Harris, as to what this announcement might contain. And there does seem to be a strong suggestion that help on the excise side for motor fuel could be on the cards. The advantage of that, of course, is that an excise cut could come in very quickly, possibly as soon as next Tuesday night after a vote in the Dáil. That would help on motor fuel, but it seems they're also looking at broader measures, but in a targeted way for households, perhaps something extra on the fuel allowance. We also know what's not going to be in this announcement. It seems those universal energy credits of a few years ago, they look like they're being ruled out. And also the carbon tax increase, which is coming up again in May, that will go ahead. Central to all of this is a message from government that what they will introduce will be for a short time period, it will be time bound, and they will evaluate at the end whether to extend it or whether to change it. It has to be flexible. But of course there is an inherent political danger here. It is a truism that it is easy to give away these measures, but it is very difficult to take them back.
Sandra Hurley at Leinster House, thank you.
You're welcome back to 6-1. A reminder of the main news this evening. The price of natural gas has surged after a series of Israeli and Iranian attacks on energy infrastructure across the Gulf. Strikes have targeted key oil and gas facilities in Iran, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and other locations. Experts predict it could threaten global fuel supplies for months. Here, retailers are warning the consumer cost of fuel will continue to rise. Today, diesel is selling at up to €2.20 a litre and petrol at around €2. The opposition has accused the government of failing to act quickly enough to address the hike in prices. A 31-year-old man has been jailed for life for stabbing his partner to death at their home in Middleton in Cork in August 2024. Adam Corcoran was found guilty at the Central Criminal Court of the murder of 27-year-old Dana Walsh. Her family called his actions demonic and horrific.
Well, as we've just heard there, the price of gas has soared following attacks on energy infrastructure across the Gulf. It's only contributed to concerns around what all of this means for the world economy. We can speak now to energy and Middle East expert Scott Medell, who is a former CIA officer and current CEO of the consultancy group Rapidan Energy. And Scott, thanks indeed for joining us on 6-1. I might begin by asking you the strikes that we have seen over the past 24 hours on the likes of the South Pars and other energy infrastructure across the Gulf. How significant are these strikes and what will it mean for prices around the world?
Tommy, thanks for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here. It's hard to overstate how important the strikes were. The strikes yesterday hit South Pars. It was clearly a deliberate choice on the part of Israel and the United States to maximize damage. Tehran, unsurprisingly, has framed the attack as an attack on civilian infrastructure. Natural gas in Iran supplies about 80% of Iran's electricity, supports residential heating and cooking, and it underpins basically the entire industrial sector. So the attack basically told the Iranians, look, you are removing almost all constraints left that we have in Tehran for hitting critical energy infrastructure. So if anything, Tommy, what you're seeing is a trajectory now that's going to put upward pressure on the most critical energy infrastructure in the Gulf. Everything now is in the crosshairs, and it's going to put upward pressure on prices. We are one strike away from going where we are now at about $105 to $110 range, up significantly to $120 and higher.
And all of this on top of the concerns that already existed around the Strait of Hormuz. We saw today that 6 countries, including the likes of the UK, France, Japan, have said that they are willing to provide appropriate efforts, as they said, to free up shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. What would be required to restore normal activity in the Strait, or is it even possible in your view?
I don't think it's possible unless you have an off-ramp from the U.S. and Israel. I think if the U.S. and Israel decide the fighting is over, the war is over, we've achieved our what we came to do here. Call it the nuclear aims, the ballistic missile aims, regime change, all of the above. I don't know. It's unclear when they're going to stop. But as long as the U.S. and Israel continue to fight, continue to bomb and attack, whether it's something as sensitive as South Pars, or just hitting security officials and bases and infrastructure, I don't think the Europeans are going to be able to go into the Strait of Hormuz and unblock it on their own. I think there'll be an important diplomatic force to put pressure on Iran, but Iran still has so many different asymmetric levers of warfare to rely on that are easy to do, and they have no reason not to use those as long as they're under pressure.
Scott, do you think all of this, if it continues, does it have potential to tip us into a global recession? What's the likelihood of that in your view?
Well, I think the short answer, Tommy, is that Europe certainly could face recession risk. I don't think it's inevitable. I mean, it depends on how large and how sustained the energy disruption is. From our perspective, everything depends on, it sort of hinges on scale and duration. Look, if the disruption that we've seen now is temporary and we're starting to move to reopening of the strait, Europe, I think, will absorb it. You could see an economic slowdown and not a recession. But again, if this is sustained and we don't uncrimp what we're seeing on the world's most important energy artery, then yes, I think, and it's escalatory. I think recession risk rises sharply. If you look throughout history, oil price spikes, in our view, tend to be at the quote unquote scene of the crime when it comes to global economic recessions.
All right, Scott Medell, we'll leave it there. Good to talk to you. Scott Medell, CEO of Rapid Energy. Thanks for joining us on 6-1.
Thank you.